We will now focus on the different methods and techniques to effectively save your work. So here, we are on a Maya scene that we have opened, which is marked as untitled, and which is completely unsaved, which does not exist yet. So to save your scene, you will go to File, Save As. You can put it wherever you want. In this case, I will put it right on my desktop. We rename it to Tutorial, and here you have two types of files. You have the file in Maya ASCII, Ma is its name, and in Maya binary, it is .md. I strongly advise you to definitely save your work in Ma for one simple and good reason. The MA format accounts for many more details than the MA. Let me explain. If you ever have a problem with your scene, such as it being corrupted, which happens quite frequently, more often than you might think, if it is corrupted and you have a problem, or if you have lost some of your data, the UMA will be much more useful, as it may have retained information that will allow you to recover part, or even all of your work. In DEMB, the encryption is completely different. And certainly it is lighter, it is easier to transfer, but there will be much less information taken into account. So for now, I really advise you to keep it in Ma, you never know. Instead of MB, it costs nothing. It's simpler this way. So we save our scene and realize that in the desktop, we have our backup tutorial, which is in My. There you go. So we can open it. There is no problem. This is the first way to save your scene. There is a second way that is best for organization. As I mentioned, in 3D, there are many organizational methods to keep everything neat and tidy. The second way is to save your scene in a project and to create a project such as a project file. A project will be a file which will be located wherever you want, on your desktop, on your drive, it doesn't matter. It will be a file that will group your scenes, your textures, and everything you want. All your useful information for the creation of your project. So you will see it's very simple. We go to File, we click on Project Window, we press New, and there we will give a name to our project. So we will call it Tutor Safeguard. Now we choose where our object will be located. So I will also put it on the desktop. We click Select, and this will create a whole bunch of files for us. So we leave everything as default and click Accept. We go to where we saved our project and realize that it has created a file called Tutor Safeguard. We go inside and there we have a whole bunch of files. We have the assets file, the autosave file, cache, clip, data, image, movie, etc. The ones that will interest us the most will be the scene file, because this is where all your scenes will be grouped. So as soon as we save, you will see. As soon as we save our scene, it will automatically be marked here. You have the image sources. This is where you will put your textures when you create textures. There is autosave, which is really convenient because it has a feature in Maya that allows you to save every 10 minutes, every 30 minutes, or whenever you want, in fact. You can set it to save your scene at a specific time, and that's super handy. So yes, you will have a lot of scenes, which will fill up your computer. But at least you can be sure that if there is a crash, or if your scene closes by itself, there is a way to recover the previous version you created thanks to autosave. Afterward, you can very well save manually if you prefer. There are two schools of thought. Either you enable autosave and don't worry about it. Either we save our scene or we create multiple versions of our scene in order to ensure completeness. So that's about it. We will also have other files that will be used, for example, to store our reference images, which are the images we will use for our modeling. The movies are where you will retrieve your video renders in the folder that you have created and saved for your project. Scripts are where we will have the scripts that are useful for our scene, but this is really for advanced things, so we won't deal with it right now. But there you go. It will create something that is much more organized, and we ultimately call this a pipeline. This is definitely your first pipeline that will allow you to model in an organized and clean way, and efficiently. So, you will see that if I use save scene As, I have the path that puts me in the save tutorial and scene. So I can create my save tutorial scene 01, and now it will be in the scene, and I will have the save tutorial 01. So it's super practical. One thing to know is that as soon as you open your new Maya scene, it is essential that when you have a project you want to work on, you must create 7 projects. That is to say, we will tell Maya that today we are going to work on our save tutorial. So we just need to double click on the save tutorial and do 7. And there, that way, he will be sure of where to save our files. It's super important and very useful for staying organized, that's definitely for sure. I told you, as I mentioned earlier, that we could definitely perform automatic backups. To set up automatic backups, go to Windows Settings Preferences and Preferences. And there, you have a bunch of things that you can change. These are the global settings of Maya. For example, here you will be able to change various settings, such as the unit of Maya, in the different settings and configurations. So it is in centimeters here. We could set it to meters, inches, feet, or yards. I suggest leaving it in centimeters. It's simpler. For animations, there are many interesting things when we want to do animation. There are things related to the interface. In fact, a whole bunch of things that will allow us to customize Maya as we wish. For now, we won't focus on that. We will mainly focus on the autosave. So here you go to Files, Projects, and you have the Autosave tab. There you can enable autosave, and here you can check Prompt Before Save, which means it will prompt you with a message after 10 minutes or 20 if you prefer. I recommend keeping it at 10 minutes. For a prompt before save, that will ask you if you want to save, to do your autosave now. So you can say no if you feel that you don't want to have autosave. If you disable it, it will perform the autosave without asking you. So you will surely end up with dozens and dozens of files since the interval is 2 minutes. So after an hour, you will already have 6 files that will be saved. So if you don't make many changes between 2 autosaves, sometimes it's worth not doing an autosave. Therefore, a prompt before save is quite useful. You can limit the autosave to 10. Well, I recommend disabling it since we have the prompt. I prefer to operate this way. And the autosave destination will be in the project. The project we created earlier is called Save Tutorial. So basically, that's it for the autosave. We're going to do a save now. And there, we will have our save tutorial saved.